Hi everyone, I'm Virginia Kilmore and today's Technique Tuesday. Looking forward to sharing this lovely card with you. I saw it online and I did my own modifications to it, my own color choices, but I thought it was a really interesting technique, so let's get started. Isn't that a lovely card? It's such a simple card to do. You just take a piece of cardstock, do your stamping, and then cut it up. And you get sort of a quad tip. I think that's a word. Usually it's a dip or tri-tip, triptych. Never heard of a quad tip, but that's what we have. 4 different sections or panels of the cards. Before we start today, I want to welcome you to my studio and share with you some beautiful cards I got at a swap this weekend. Every month I have people that like stamping a lot and join as Stampin' Up! Demos. And some months we do a swap. So these are some of the cards I received. This is from Pam Campbell. Beautiful watercolor technique, embossing. And then she also cut out some flowers from some of her watercolor pieces. She hated to see it go to waste. Isn't that beautiful? And this is using Loyal Leaves, I think is the name, or Love of Leaves. I always get those two confused. This is from my girlfriend Jan, who I talk about a lot. She's very precise and careful. And I love this little technique that she did right here. She took the punch and punched it out in very vanilla and then punched it out in, what is that color? It's not Elegant Eggplant, which we don't have anymore. It'll come to me. If I try to think of it right now, it won't work. And then she cut that piece in half, glued it to the back, but before she did that, she took some ink in the same color and put a tiny bit of color right here, and you don't notice that unless you look really closely. See how she put a little bit of ink right there? So it gives the effect that this goes all the way around. In fact, when I first saw the card, I thought, oh my goodness, how did she do that? Did she cut it into 4s? Nope. She actually just used a little bit of a dauber right along that edge. I thought that was really smart. And if you happen to go over a little bit, it's okay because you'll have some of this color behind it. She also used some of the leaves from the gold foil leaves kit that we have this year. It's like the silhouette paper that we've had in the past, but this one is gold. It's beautiful and it's got 2 sides. She also used a gold ring. Tomorrow I am doing that ornament I told you about, so you'll be seeing that gold ring tomorrow. Really pretty. This one's a great technique card by Pam, another Pam Mead, who's our wildlife rehabber. She always has great stories. And she used glossy paper, which we don't carry anymore, but you could probably use photo paper or any kind of glossy paper. And she explained that she stamped, she colored, she embossed, she did many layers and then just cut them up into little pieces. It's a really effective and really pretty card, and it shimmers beautifully. Now, these 2 cards come from a mother-daughter combo, so I'm not sure who made which one, but one of these young ladies, I don't think is much more than 10 or 11 years old. She made this card. I think her mom made this card, and I think she made that one. I love this layout. I think it's so pretty, and I think we tried something similar to this in the past. And she used 2 framelits to cut her frame. And then this one has this beautiful embossing. This is Amanda and her daughter, Lauren. I think I got that right, I hope. And they come to the meeting too. Lauren loves to stamp, so she is just an avid little stamper. I love these leaves. I think I sold this set to them, and now I'm regretting it because look at how beautiful they did with that. Well, let's get started with our card. Today we will be using these two color inks, Poppy Parade and Bumblebee. We will also be using these two stamp sets, Winter Woods and Here's a Card. I got this last 2 weeks ago when they had that sale. Wow, what a great set. It has some great combinations. One of my favorites, I made this card because you're worth it. Happy birthday. It has lots of great sentiments, but also things for the inside as well. For instance, words cannot express the deep sorrow I felt on your behalf. And then the inside would be, may your heart find the peace it needs. Or it could be vice versa. I just think it's a great concept of an inside and an outside image. So to start with, we are going to dry emboss this piece. So I have to bring up my machine, which means I got to move everything. I am loving our new machine. I think it works great. And what I love about it is it always has an explanation of how things go together. We are using Tasteful Textile, which is a 3D embossing folder. So that means I need one plate, and then I need my background plate. I pulled out the wrong one, number 4, I think it's called. 1 and 4, that's all I need. So I am going to put my cardstock, which is a piece of paper poppy. And in case you want to know the supplies, they're all listed underneath this machine. As soon as I lift it off, I'll show you. And then I just run it through. I love the ability to be able to use this die machine. It's much easier than my old Big Shot. And look at how pretty that is. I don't know if you can see that texture on here, but it is lovely. And now I'm going to do my stamping on a 3x4-inch card. See how I have everything listed? Just in case you want supplies, you can use that code and help out a hostess. I am going to stamp also the inside of my card with what's left over of the Poppy Parade ink. And because I'm using 2 color inks, I'm going to stamp with the lighter one first. So I'm going to ink this up real good. And then go ahead and just stamp slightly to the left on this card because I'm going to go back in and stamp with the red. And I want to stamp on the inside of my card with the leftover. So I'm going to lift this off. Ooh, it's a little crooked. I think I'm going to stamp it again. But I'm going to stamp it on the other side. That's the reason why you have 2 sides of a card stack. That's much better. And now I'm going to take what's left over here and just very lightly stamp. You can barely see it, but you'll see it'll really pop when I use the Poppy Parade. So now I'm going to go back to my card front and really ink that up. Now I could have cleaned that in between, but if you go from light to dark, you don't always have to. See if I can get it straight this time. And I just offset it slightly to the right. So it creates this effect of a grove of trees that are all different colors. I love that. I think it's so pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp right over my yellow. And at the same time, since I have it open, I'm going to go ahead and put my sentiment in here, which says, "You made my day." I'm going to stamp it right in here. That gives me plenty of room to do my writing in there, and I can set this aside while I work on the rest of the card. Let's work on our sentiment. The sentiment for this card is kind of an interesting little technique that I used. I took a piece of Bumblebee cardstock and glued the word thanks after I stamped it onto the Bumblebee and then punched them all out at the same time. It just gives me a little bit more control as long as I stamp it straight. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on here. And I can already put this away because I'm ready to go to the next step. And I just need my 1.5 inch circle punch. Now I can slide this in here, line it up, get it just the way I want it. And by the way, that Very Vanilla piece is 3/4 of an inch. It's just a strip left over, and now I've got that all cut and ready to go for my sentiment. I just need to put my card together, and the first thing I need to do is slice this up. So let's take my cutter. I don't need that anymore. And I'm going to start cutting at 3, because I'm going to cut 1 inch off each time. 2, and at 1. Okay, so I'm all set now to put my card together. The only thing I need to do is make my little ribbon trim, but let's go ahead and get this laid out. I found the easiest way to do this, because I am not a person that likes rulers, is to start with your end pieces, your 2 butting ends there. And if you can get those centered the way you like them. I also like to use the lines right here on my grid paper. You see how it lines up here and here? That helps me tremendously. So I'm going to put a little glue. And because I have glue, I have a few minutes to move it around if I'm not happy. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that right down here. And then I'm going to glue this one over here, and I can line it up with the grid paper to help keep it nice and straight. Some people also like to just take a strip of paper like this and lay it down. I just tend to find that I lose that, so I like to use the grid paper, and I can really look and see if it's nice and straight. And now I just need to put these 2 pieces in, and I'm going to put glue down and get them in quickly so that I can move them around. I'm going to do them both at the same time. I know that sounds crazy, but this will give me a chance to sort of work it the way I want it. And because I only put glue down the middle, I don't have to worry too much if I have to move it. I think that spacing looks pretty good. Nothing is ever perfect. If you are a perfectionist, you tend to not finish things. At least that's how I have been in the past. I'm just never happy. I don't want to do stuff. Part of the reason why I never did this video stuff, and I know I'm not perfect, but at least I'm doing it, and I get better the more I do it. So you have to just accept the fact that you're not going to get it perfect. It is a handmade card, which makes it really special. So just accept the fact that you're not going to get it perfect the first time. If you're like me, you make multiples and then you get better. So I'm cutting a piece of this All the Trimmings ribbon. And because I want it offset here somewhere, I'm going to cut it somewhere almost halfway, but not quite. Because I want to sort of have it hanging over, but not so much that I don't have room to get this in. So now that I know where I want it, and I'm pretty sure that this is set in place. Yep, those are still pretty good. I'm going to take my bone folder, flip this over, and just rub that a little bit. Make sure it really has good contact, and then I'm going to put my tape around the back so that I can put my ribbon on there. This little technique saves me tons of ribbon. If I had to wrap it around every time I made this card, think about how much more ribbon I would use. Okay, so now let's take our card. Look at how pretty that looks. I could also do the same thing on the envelope. It'd be a really nice way to bring a card into someone. I just need to do that and let it dry before I send it off, but wouldn't that be pretty on the envelope? So now I've got glue on here. All I need now is to adhere it and get my dimensionals for my sentiment. I like to use 3 when I have a circle because it's sort of like a little tripod. It helps. And then I'm going to pull these off. Take your pick tool. I love that tool. I use it all the time. And now I just need to nestle this in here, wherever I would like it. I think that looks pretty good. I am going to trim this a little bit. And there you have it. Today's card. Very quick technique. A quad tick. I don't know the perfect term. Done with Bumblebee and Poppy Parade inks and our Winter Woods set. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Tomorrow we're doing a Christmas ornament. I hope you have a great day today, and I'll see you tomorrow.